In 2012, we went on vacation to Williamsburg, Virginia with a whole bunch of family. We were all in a big ground floor suite on the Williamsburg Plantation Resort. It was a really good trip. One night, 5 of us were out on the back patio sitting in a circle and just bullshitting under the porch light. We were kind of noisy back there, but the suite directly next to ours is empty, so no worries. At some point, 2 of us decided to move a bit away from the group because we had gotten into a more serious conversation and wanted to be able to hear each other better. He, we'll call him Pete for this story, goes and stands on the patio of the suite next door. No biggie, we knew that family left that morning. And I sat about 5 feet away, facing him on the picnic table on the grass between the buildings. Since the suite was vacant, the patio Pete stood on had no porch light on, so it took a minute to adjust and see him clearly. Once I did, though, I could see just fine: the patio floor, the sliding glass door behind him, the darkened porch light fixture above his head. We continued our conversation for maybe 5 or 10 minutes when I saw what I thought was a man step from the side of the patio into the middle of it and stand right behind Pete. First thought was, shit, that suite wasn't vacant and we're using their patio, hope we didn't bother them. You know how we can think an entire thought like that in like a third of a second. The next third of that same second with me opening my mouth and about to say, sorry sir, let's get off that patio, Pete. Something to that effect, but the word never got out because that last fraction of the second was the realization that this man behind Pete was without features. His body, clothes, and head were all one color, fuzzy like static and gray, but also kind of like grayish blue in spots that would be details of his clothing. So it wasn't a man, I guess. So a second later, I'm staring at this person and trying to decide what I'm looking at, and Pete stops talking because my mouth is hanging open and I'm looking past him. I look at his face when he pauses, look back up behind him, and nothing is there now. This all couldn't have been more than 3 seconds. Pete said, what did you see? And looked over his shoulder to see nothing there. I think what came out was something like, nothing, I guess there's nothing there. He takes 2 giant steps away from the patio and goes, you saw a ghost, didn't you? I tell him I actually have no idea what I just saw, but it isn't there now. He isn't surprised by this in the least and tells me that we're on a plantation, of course, the rest of the spirit is all about, and we stay on our nicely lit patio with the rest of the group for the rest of the night. The rest of the vacation was absolutely lovely, definitely in the top 5 best trips I ever went on, highly recommended. So, summer 2015 was another big extended family trip staying at the Williamsburg Plantation. This time we needed 2 suites to fit everyone upstairs. My husband's older sister and brother-in-law stayed in the master bedroom. My husband and kids and I in the living room and other bedroom. Downstairs suite had everyone else, including husband's middle and youngest sisters. One night I hear a scream from the master bedroom, and not 30 seconds later, older sister-in-law texts me a YouTube link to Lights Out, that super short, creepy film that won awards later on. Well, it was really late, and I just heard her scream, so I'm certainly not watching this right now. 2 minutes later, I heard the scream of husband's 2 younger sisters from downstairs, who also had the video texted to them from the older sister. A minute later, middle sister's cell phone rings. It's awfully late for a phone call, but it's a number in our New Jersey hometown area code. So she picks up, assuming it's someone she knows. But it's actually state police claiming someone called in about some screaming, and is everyone alright? She laughs, says we're fine, and explains the spooky video. She gets a generic answer about respecting the other guests so late at night. She apologizes, we'll be quiet now, and hangs up. She sends us a text saying that we got her in trouble and it's late and to be quiet. She wasn't mad at all. She thought it was pretty funny that this one video stirred us all up enough to make so much noise that some other guests told on us. She didn't think much more about it till she would be counting the details to all of us the next morning. But here's what bothered me, and bugged me still to this day. We were in Virginia. If the number on her phone had a New Jersey area code, that means it was the New Jersey State Police caller. Who the hell would have called the New Jersey State Police about a noise complaint in Virginia? Plus, the room was registered under their mother's name as it was her timeshare we were using. Why on earth would the police have any number for our group besides the resort's landline or their mother's cell phone? Basically, how did the New Jersey State Police receive a noise complaint about a suite on the Williamsburg plantation, find out the suite number, and find out my middle sister was staying there, and decide to find her cell phone number and question her in particular about the screams in the middle of the night? Common sense says if someone complained, it would be to the resort front desk or to the local police, in which the suite's landline would ring for the person whose name was on the reservation they asked to keep it down. So who really called her, and why, and from where? None of what happened made any sense, and that bothered me way more than the creepy video. Again, though, really great trip. Otherwise, looking forward to going back someday. So this was when I was 9 years old. I was living in a haunted apartment complex at the time. So I remember being awoken by the sound of my baby brother crying. At first, I ignored it because I thought my mother would get him. But I had been mistaken because he had just kept crying, and it seemed that I was the only one that had been awoken from his cries. So I had gotten up to call him. I checked his diaper, nothing. I get him a bottle, he throws it. Nothing seemed to be working, he won't stop crying. At this point, I'm wondering why Mom hadn't woken up yet. That's when I noticed something out of sorts. My little brother had been standing up crying the whole time. I didn't really think much about it because I was trying to get him to calm down. What I noticed is that he's pointing in the dark hallway. I'm confused, and his constant sobbing wasn't helping me think any better. I ended up turning the hallway light, asking him if this was better, knowing I won't get a reply. He still hasn't stopped crying, and soon enough, I started crying. My mom still hasn't gotten up. My little brother's still crying and pointing towards the hallway. And I'm over here crying, trying to calm him down. Honestly, I felt like something was intensely staring at us. I couldn't handle it anymore, so I started yelling for my mom, but even then she didn't get up. Then I decided to start banging on her bedroom door, yelling for her to please get up. After all of the time, she gets up. The moment my mom walked into that room and called me and my brother, the feeling of someone intensely staring at us went away. I hated living in that apartment complex, and I lived there for years, but even after I moved out of there, I know that my baby brother saw something for those years of living there. I remembered some paranormal stuff from my childhood. I had a bunk bed as a child with a net around it because I was allergic to mosquitoes. One night I woke up because I heard something under my bunk bed. I was easily scared as a child, especially in the dark. I always had a dim light on because of that. First, I just lay there trying to make sense of the situation. I could not explain it because the door was closed. And if somebody in my family entered, they always had the door open for the duration to be in my room. When I finally occurred to look down, I saw a boy. I did not recognize him and was scared shitless. I could not really identify many features because he was bent over and looking at the floor. I tried to keep composed to not get his attention. Then I tried to look closer to see what he was doing. It looked like he was trying to dig under my bed searching for something. Then he looked up, and as soon as I saw his head moving, I pulled back. My net was normally open, only closed if the windows were open in the summer. But when I pulled back, the net closed on its own. I hid under my blanket and tried not to cry. Then after what felt like hours, I must have fell asleep. When I woke up, there was nothing, but I could have sworn stuff was rearranged, but I do not know anymore for sure. What could I have seen? Sleep paralysis did not seem to be the right guess here. I could move, I could speak, etc. Maybe hallucination, but why did I wake up from it? I did not really hallucinate when I was a child. At least I never imagined sound. Maybe it was all just a dream, but it felt 100% real, and I knew it was awake at the moment. If you want to explain it, it had to be hallucination, but it did not feel right. Did anybody remember seeing someone digging or searching for something in their room when you were a child?